Welcome back, happy fabricators. In this video we're going to be talking about and reviewing my two favorite Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro performance upgrades. Let's get started. Okay, so the first and foremost performance upgrade to the plasma table has to be the PrimeWeld UPM-105 machine torch. This thing has been a huge game changer in the performance of cuts and longevity of consumables. Let me show you why. So just for context, I'm using the PrimeWeld Cut 60, but this is going to apply to any machine that you're using. I definitely recommend finding a machine torch that models the Hypertherm style consumables. First off, for the longevity of the torch itself. Because of the fact that the electrode does not thread into the body of the torch, you're not going to have that potential problem of the threads on the electrode heat cycling and potentially galling up and twisting off and ruining the head of your torch. So for example, you can see here on the IPT60, which is a hand torch, it's very popular in a lot of mid-range plasma cutters. You can see this electrode threads into the body of the torch, and it's already tight enough in here or gold up enough that I can't get it done by hand here. We'll get some pliers here to break this loose, and it's feeling pretty stiff actually for coming undone. So this style of torch, you have to really keep an eye on how many heat cycles or pierces this thing is going to have so that this electrode does not get stuck up in here and ruin the body of the torch. I think this one's coming out, but yeah, you can see it. Yeah, well, yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can see that, but the end of those threads twisted off. So I'm gonna have to run a tap down in this thing to make sure those are cleaned out before I stick another one down in there. Whereas you can see over here with the 105 machine torch, we have that Hypertherm style consumables, and the electrode does not actually thread into the central part of the body of the torch. It gets nested inside the diffuser, and then the cone goes on it, and then it's retained by this shielding cone here, and then the outer threads here, which are away from the main heat source, is what retains it on. So you greatly lessen the chance that this thing could ever get hot enough that you are going to twist off the threads for your electrode into there, because the threads aren't even on the electrode, they're on the housing. Another reason that this style of torch is superior is it has a secondary shielding nozzle that goes over the tip. Air is directed all the way around the tip, so by its nature it's going to stay cooler and last longer because it's not going to get overheated as easy. You're going to get more pierces out of it. When I switched over to the 105 torch from the IPT hand torch, I got a little more than double the pierces out of set of consumables. And if your air is dry, you can probably triple that number, and I've got some wet air in the shop. The other reason I've loved this upgrade is just the performance and quality of cut. It's a lot easier to align this torch and square it up with the table, and just the nature of this design of consumables is a lot more accurate and consistent. I've been running this torch for a little over a year and a half now and hasn't even skipped a beat. It has been a great upgrade. My next upgrade is this machine torch laser pointer from BecksArmory.com. I'm super excited about this. I've been looking at building something like this, but I seen Becks Armory come out with this, and I don't think I could have built it any better. So we're going to install this thing and see how it works. So it looks like it comes with the machine torch housing, which this thing is pretty sweet. It's all billet, CNC'd aluminum, and then it's got the spots with set screws for the lasers, and pretty blue anodized. This thing's pretty solid. And then it comes with 2 pointer lasers. So these are going to install down into here, I believe. A length of wire, a battery pack. I'll have to open that up and see what size of batteries this takes. Those look like AA's, so it looks like 3 AA's, so it can be a standalone thing, so you don't have to tap into any power on the machine. And then an on-off switch for it, and then, oh, it's even got the little waterproof dongle for the switch. That's kind of cool. So let's get this thing installed. So I'm going to slide my heat shrink over top of these. And then one trick that I've learned over the years that has treated me well is especially when I've got two wires like this coming out of a piece of heat shrink. And because this is going to be in a wet splat or get splashed, is I like to take my hot glue gun and just squirt a little bit of hot glue down the end of that heat shrink, and that just kind of helps seal any of the voids that are going to be in there. Okay, so now that I'm looking at this thing, trying to decide where to mount my battery box and the switch, I suppose I could mount them down here on the control box, but I've always wanted to build a laptop stand that's up here and out of the way. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and build my laptop stand and make you guys watch me do that too. And then I can mount the switch and everything right off the laptop stand where I'm going to be running everything from. So let's do that. Okay, so now that we got the laptop stand, whoops, all done, and got a nice turned surface. I like how the way this turned out. I kind of kicked up the laptop surface at an angle and made the mouse pad a little flatter here. Got a switch in there, so now we're gonna wire up this laser pointer and get it installed. Okay, well, powered on, and then should have lasers when we throw the switch. Hey, look at that. Okay, so now we got that together. You can see we got nice laser line. You have to adjust the orientation of them, and I also noticed that these guys right here on the bottom, you have to adjust it for the focal length. So if you look here, if I spin this and go out, this laser will get like almost a 1/4 inch wide. You can see the width on that. Whereas if you spin the end of the laser, it changes the focal length and it'll sharpen that line up. So we'll get them all crossed up in an X, and then once we get it mounted on the machine, we'll make sure that it's all dialed in. That looks good. So this bracket just fits right on the stock mount there, just like the other Langmuir Systems one does. And then we're going to dress the laser wires up the pigtail here. So now that we got this in here, I don't know if you can see this, but there's not very much of a cross here. So it looks like the shielding cone on the consumables there is blocking the laser out just a little bit. So I'm going to lift this up just a little bit. There we go. Bring it up to... Well, actually, what I probably should do is drop the lasers down. So, I just love the simplicity of this, but it's so clean at the same time. I figure a way to dress that stuff up. Make it look nice, but super functional. Okay, so we got the whole thing hooked up now. It was super simple to hook up. Just wired the lasers to the battery pack and through the switch. I mounted my switch right up here so I can reach it. Now let's cut something. Okay, so I'm definitely happy with both the torch and the laser cutter. Show you here with the torch. This is a part off the table. I threw it in the vinegar just so you can see the cut quality better without the scale on it. You can see there's a little bit of dross there and a little bit of dross in the corner, but besides that, cut quality is pretty dialed. There's a little bit of a taper on it, but not much. I haven't hit this with a grinder at all yet. I just threw it in a tub of vinegar to take the scale off it so you can see what little dross it has easier. And as for the billet torch holder with the laser pointer on it, I highly recommend it. This thing is going to be great in the shop. Super good quality, and just the several times that I've used it in the last couple days, it's super handy, especially when you are working with like a skeleton and you're trying to get in between pieces. It's super nice to have just a visual reference and not have to get down low and see where you're at to start the cut. So highly recommend that. Also, Mr. Beck from Becks Army gave me a coupon code for you guys. So if you use AMC FAB, so AMC FAB at checkout, you'll get 5% off this or anything in his store. Highly recommend going and checking his store out. He's got 2x72-inch belt grinders, I believe, and an assortment of other stuff that he builds himself out of some shop, and it's all good quality stuff from what I've seen. And as for the torch, you can find that on PrimeWeld's website. So if you want to see more fabrication content, click some of the links that are going to pop up here. If you want to be notified of upcoming videos, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It's free to do so. And go build something, guys.